Hello, everybody. 1 second. Sorry about that. Just had to mute the mic for a moment, but I'm just going to have a pretty short live stream. Going to be working on a Bond set here. Probably going to be asking some, answering some questions. Recently. Yeah, just want to make sure no interruptions or anything like that. Okay. Okay. After building out the scene in iclone, then transferring the scene between two actors. Sequence kind of useless. I'm sure you can because it's just an FK control rig. You can still adjust it. I'm sure you can. Can you please do a video for a character like Disney? I'm not really, like, when it comes to like very cartoonish stuff, I'm not the best at that. So I can't really make a tutorial on that one, to be honest. It's not my specialty. I could definitely recommend animating like how to animate like a Disney film, which is it's the old uh, 12 principles of animation. Those were created by old Disney animators. But when it comes to like character design, like for cartoonish stuff, I'm not really the best at that. There is some plugins that you can get from Real Illusion when it comes to cartoonish characters, and then you have to kind of work with. Sorry, my voice is really giving out, so that's why I'm kind of cutting it out pretty shortly. Um, but yeah, you can actually you have to learn like squash and stretch and all that, which it's an old iClone thing, so you have to kind of work with the morph creator and all that, and then like for example, let's just quickly pull up iClone. I could show you. 1 second. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I can show you what squash and stretch is and all that. Before we begin, sorry, I'm just pretty tired out today, so like I said, it's just going to be a very short. It's just going to be a pretty short one today. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Let's see. Okay. So. Okay, so first of all, we just gotta turn that off there. And for now, let's just turn off Endgame and save that here. So let's just use a normal cube. So there's something, so one of the little things is you have to think like a spring when it comes to animation. This is just basic stuff, so I'm just going to cover it, and then we'll get right into it. So when it comes to working with this here, and then you finally, oops. So we can just animate like this. And copy and paste. So this is just a very rough animation here. Wherever. Like I said, this is just not really the perfect, this is just a very rough animation, but this is just wash and stretch, just kind of playing around with it. So that's one of the little things when it comes to cartoonish stuff. You have to kind of know that everything's like in this really over exaggerated thing, but you have to remember that. So that's what I kind of deal with when it comes to characters. So, and it also applies for like facial expressions. So you want something like really over exaggerated. So I think we have a character I have a character here that we can exaggerate, I guess. Oh, and never mind, it crashed. Yeah, well, that's that. I mean, I would look up 12 principles of animation, and you get a rough idea. But yeah, well, iclone doing what iclone likes to do. So let's see here. What is this? Ah, it's my Polyhaven stuff. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Is that iclone? Probably iclone, but whatever. I'm just gonna ignore it. Do I have anything by construction? Anything with construction? I do. Does this one have what I'm looking for? Yeah, it actually does. So I'm going to add that to Endgame here. 1 second. I should actually edit this here for you guys. I'll get back into like Sky Girl pretty soon. I just want to make a set because just to let you all know, I was gone last week. I went to Chicago when I saw the Museum of Science and Industry, and they have a James Bond exhibit. And it was quite interesting, they have all his gadgets and kind of explain the science behind it. There's like spy gadgets they brought out. Quite interesting. If you're in Illinois and you want, I say check it out. It's by it ends in October. But it's well worth it, I think. So I picked up a book by Peter Lamont, who was the set designer for pretty much the James Bond films from Goldfinger to Casino Royale. He was a draftsman, which it's quite interesting because that's what I am technically. I'm a drafter. Well, somewhat formally a drafter, but I've kind of moved on. But yeah, well, I went to school for drafting and design, So this kind of caught my attention since I'm working on a James Bond film. I just wanted to see what his breakdown was, and it's an interesting book here. He kind of goes through all the set design and all the challenges that came to design these large sets on quite a budget, I guess. But so I just needed to look for ideas because this is kind of tough to design a set like this for a Bond film. It's really tough. Especially in Unreal. The one thing is I don't want to over rely on I like to think what can I work with. And the thing I always think about is what's the function of this base? What has it had a past life? And for the villain, it's like he's just using old Soviet era bases. Like we covered a base in I could show you his winter base here, so let me go and save this quickly. So when it comes to design a set, I always think environment, because your environment is a storytelling tool, and I think some people kind of neglect that. They just kind of use and this is one thing I tell people, if you're building a film, get a chance. The first thing you do when you download the Unreal Engine is you always want to just do some set design. So for example, just download Megascans and just build a set on your own. Get a grasp and find out what works and what doesn't work for you. Don't rely too much on pre-built maps and all that. You can, but I would use them as educational tools, when it comes to lighting and such. But I wouldn't rely on your final lighting. I always think, what's the importance? Yeah, sure. What's the importance to that set? What are you looking for? That's what you want to think about. And yeah, my voice is really, really not doing very well right now. But that's how I kind of ask myself, when I build these sets, what works? What am I trying to invoke? This book by Peter Lamont is quite interesting, because he kind of goes through his thought process. It's quite an interesting read. So, for example, like I said, I kind of use old brutalist architecture for our Bond villain. And not only that, but old Cold War relics. This here was an old Cold War relic. I designed this, this prop and this prop here. I kind of found some props here to work with. But this is based off of an old command center for nuclear missiles. I think it was deterrence. And it's surprisingly in North Dakota, but it evokes some kind of terror, it's kind of threatening. And I thought that would be perfect for the base. And it's not Soviet, but it's an American facility. It's out in North Dakota, out in the middle of nowhere. It's hundreds of miles away, not only that, but the whole state is dotted with old silos, if you can find it. They're really hard to spot, but you could find them if you did some looking. But and that's kind of thing. I saw this design, I thought, okay, this could work. I thought this was pretty intimidating. So that's the thing. I went with concrete. It's cold and brutal, and just I feel I wanted to evoke a sense of a threat. So that's what I do with these sets. That's how I design. So when it comes down to it with this other base, I'm trying to think. This is just an old base here. It's no longer really used, even though, it seems like, that, but there's kind of a sense of it's part of the script, kind of played around with it, knowing that the Cold War isn't over. Or, it's been long over, but these two don't realize it. So it just kind of plays around with this theme. So when let's go back to the Bahamas. So I'm working with 3 sets. And this is something I was designing when I was getting back to from Chicago. And this is something, this base I was trying to think, okay, this is in the Bahamas, but you know, the Bahamas is pretty small and everything, so how are we going to work with that? How do you make this giant, the one thing I wanted to go with is like this old Ken Adam design. But the thing is, how am I going to, how is that going to work in the Bahamas? And I think about that, like I think, okay, you know, this big giant base out in the middle of nowhere, it's not going to work. Well, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to work with that? So this is the thing I think about when it comes to designing the sets. It's overthinking, of course, but you know, these are little things I always think about when I'm designing or building a set. Is what works? Like, what can I do to make it work? It's a little boring, I know. I don't know how intriguing it is, but this is the thing I always think about. So when I build something, I always kind of get, I want something to invoke just this massive scale, massive operation. But out in the, like if it's in like out in the open in the Bahamas, there's not a whole lot. You know, it's just someone's going to spot it. So how are you going to be able, and this is one of those things, how am I able to work with it? And I got the idea, like, just build it underground. So I had 3 sets. I'm going to be working with 3 sets with this thing. Well, 4 actually. Maybe 5. 5 maybe? We'll see. See if I can get it down to 3. But the main thing I always think about is this large one, and it's underground. You know, and the thing is, I'm trying to find why it's there. Why it's there? Well, maybe the Soviets used it to build this giant base in the Bahamas or something a long time ago, just to hide cargo from from the Americans. Who knows? So, is it plausible? No, it's Bond film, obviously, but you know, you don't want to have the middle of nowhere. You know, if it was in some place like Cuba, you know, maybe they'll just have it out there, but whatever. But you know, since they the writers have it in the Bahamas, well, you know, I have to work with it. So I'm thinking just something that's underground and hidden. And so I had to think a couple things. Is I'm just kind of building a basic set. So the first set is going to be what I call this just big, I guess if you call it this huge dockyard, I guess underground. I don't know the technical term, but it'll come to me later. But thinking like this, and then kind of building some pillars here, some giant pillars. And then, have a crane and load up cargo, and maybe there's something like a little elevator. Maybe I can make like an elevator here. Kind of loads down, hides, and then, goes through here. Okay, so it's underground. So the second part is how does it get to the sea? Well, this is where the crazy idea works. Thought about a lock, but I don't know if that's practical. So I'm thinking, there's going to be some doors that shut. And the second set would be a giant lift that lifts the ship and then goes to a canal and then sails away. Or something. It's just something that's hidden. So you see this, like this, it's really, really, really crazy, but that's the best I could do. I think I'm still looking into the other design, but this is just something I'm thinking about. Like what was the base for? Why would I build it? That kind of question I always think about. Like, okay, what's this for? What works and what doesn't work? And so what I'm doing right now is just using some stuff from Megascans. And, I've always found Megascans to be pretty useful. You can also go to Polyhaven for other textures. But I find Megascans much easier to work with. This actually comes from an old CG Trader prop that I got. And I thought, hey, that works pretty well. But the only problem is it says keep out, so I'm going to have to hide that something. Because, yeah, there's not going to be any English. So right now I'm just kind of blocking it out here, deciding what the height is. So this is what, 10 meters? At least 10 meters each. So you're looking at like a 30-meter tall structure. So if we put a character here, And yeah, this kind of invokes a Ken Adam kind of feeling. Yeah. Oops, sorry. So if you want to get rid of decals here. We wanted something big, like something like an old Ken Adam set, you know. Just this massive giant set here. Something intimidating. So I was thinking like finding like a giant pillar here and kind of stretching out here and here. And then you have these doors. I think that would work. So you have a cargo bay, an elevator, cargo bay, and everything else. I drew up a very rough, like a rough blueprint what I was looking for. So I'm just kind of finding out what to work with. So this could be like, let's just put this here. This will be like 30 meters. So this is how I kind of design stuff. I always get like a rough, I always work with a rough plane. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It really doesn't need to be. I just need a rough idea what I'm working with. And always think of like function, like what's the function here? So we have this here, we'll have like a door, and then like a cargo crane, and then you have a ship, and then the doors, and then the lock will lift it up. Lift it up to the surface, you know. So a couple of things when it comes to designing sets, I always kind of bring up. Number one is take advantage of decals, because decals actually like let's just show one issue that we have. We have some tiling going on, and a good way of hiding it is just putting decals, putting props in. So I'll probably go find something to hide, kind of get the illusion that it's not going to tile too much. And not only that, but let's say this. Let's go find our props here. And I'll just kind of tell you guys from personal experience. And I'll explain it. Sorry, I don't mean to snort. So we have like this freight container. I hope it's not in English. Yeah, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Plus, I think, yeah, it has to be in English, I think. So, one thing to note is, I wonder if there's any other is there a material? Is there a different color material I can use for this? Is there like oh, there is. Yeah, so what I can do is just duplicate this, because this is a material instance. Can I actually, like turn this blue or something? Guess not. Oh well, that's a shame, but that's okay. 1 second. All right, so sorry about that. I guess we can't make it into an instance. That's all right. So yeah, this is something to look out for. So I'll just kind of stack this alongside here, just like that. And not only that, but I can also find different containers. I'm sure there's others, you know. Now we can just do this for now, find a forklift. And I'll have to find a crane. You know, gotta have some safety standards here. Yeah. You know, something like this you can hide in. Like that, but you can also use this to sneak, and we can also transfer this to iclone to have it work. Whoops. So a couple things I always think about. That'll work. So, you know, just have something. But one thing I like to do is, like I said, we're going to add some decal. Now, a couple things to think about. This is just letting you guys know. Let's go to decal and go to concrete. Let's go to damage. Concrete can damage. That's one little thing. You'd be surprised. If you leave something and, like I said, something really heavy on concrete, it's going to crack, especially under elements, and it's going to damage. So just you're going to download that. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how easy it is to, you know, under a certain weight, how concrete can break. I worked in places where they had that. So when it comes to concrete, especially older places, and there's a lot of weight and stress on it, just don't be afraid to add some decals of damage. And who knows, you know, and a lot of it is under like certain places they haven't moved in a while, so that's one thing to think about. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work. This is like a little patch or something I can look into. Let's do it like a patch. They could patch it up. There could be damage. Cracks can happen. Like this. This is a pretty good one. Stuff like this happens. So, you know, especially along, you know, concrete can be damaged. Especially if there's a lot of weight on it. You add in water and moisture and all that stuff that gets into it. Oh, like, then yeah. 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 I'll just do something like this here. 1 second. All right. So yeah. Let's see. So yeah, these little decal works. Not only that, but you can also add moisture too. Because yeah, that's not a good thing, especially if things are splashing around. Could contribute to the damage. So not a good thing. So I have these little puddles. Quick, I need to answer a question for somebody. I'll have to answer this pretty soon. I always forget. Sorry, it's just been a pretty busy couple of days for me. I apologize. So I always like add certain stuff in. So I'm thinking, yeah, like this, and then we can see if I can find a crane, and then, you know, add some decal. Let's also just something like this right there. There we go. Probably contributing to the damage, so maybe I can just flip this here. There we go. A little bit of damage. Yeah, it caused more damage to it. Anyway, yeah, that'll work. So here, then we can add a couple things. You know, there could be guards running around. I think the scale of it too. You know, it's a pretty big set. And the tough thing is, and this is something I'm kind of dreading, is how to light it. How to light the set, that's what I'm really kind of dreading. I like these little patches here. Like this here. Yeah. A little bit grime too, dirt, dust, and all that. I don't know what they'll be carrying in with these things. So I have to find more. I'll have to go and look for more of these, like containers. But another thing is I'm going to look for a crane. I think I have a crane somewhere, so see if I can find it. Not really what I'm looking for, but that's okay. I'll find something. So let's see. Now the question is, let's look for water tiles, but I want to quickly get the shape here. Get a shape. Let's do like 8 or something. There we go. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, some damage too. In fact, I could probably do like 10 or something. Let's do 10. Okay. So yeah, we can put like a gauge or something. Yeah, lighting this thing is just going to be such a pain in the ass. That one I'm going to have to think about. How am I going to light this set? There you go. Not the putting that up here. There you go. Yeah, there we go. And then we can just do this, do like 500 or something. 400. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And yeah, we could cover that in decal, but there we go. So, oh, good God. No. Ew, no. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Not the greatest, but whatever. Hey, there we go. That works much better. Oh, even we even got some little waves around this. I can work with that. Perfect. I can even with some decal work we can get this working, but yeah. Some offices here. Make like an elevator shaft. I think this could work. So. Start off with something like this. I think something like this could work. And we can easily like move. No, maybe just do this instead. Just like that. No, and then lights here. So concrete. Yeah, I can definitely make something like this work. I just gotta find out what the dimensions are, and then I can kind of slowly kind of model these, get them textured, then build the elevator, then build the door, maybe like a little office or something. I don't know. Good work. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I think, like I said, I'll try to. What I'm going to do is go into Blender and just start modeling here. What I might, yeah, I'll kind of model a bit, model these pillars. Then I'll have to find a pretty decent crane, like an overhead. So we'll have an overhead crane, and then a couple of other things we can place here, for like storage, maybe some forklifts or something. But and then we'll have to design the door. But yeah, it's off to a pretty decent start. We'll have to get a ship going, but I'll have to model a ship, find out specifications. But yeah, it's quite interesting what you can do with a little, just a little experiment here. I'll definitely have something soon. So yeah, I'll try to answer some questions tomorrow. I'll reply in the comment section. Hopefully this helps you. Just let me know. I'm back, and we'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow.